Hi, my name is Catherine Follis, and I'm the founder and tasting panel lead of Planet Grape Wine Review. I was the fifth woman in the world to become a master sommelier, and I'm the author of 10 Grapes to Know, the 10 and Done Wine Guide. Our special guest today is Eugenia Keegan, who is the general manager and vice president of Oregon Winery Operations and Business Development. Whew, I thought my title was long, for Jackson Family Wines. We're so excited here to have Eugenia here and talk about four of her amazing wines, one Chardonnay and three Pinot Noirs. Hi, Eugenia.
Hi, Catherine. Thank you so much. I'm delighted to be here.
Great. So tell us a little bit about your background, and then we have four wines to just touch upon very briefly.
Well, I've been doing this for over 45 years, so we don't want to bore the audience with all of that. But I worked in Napa and Sonoma for 25 years, and then, of course, up in Oregon for, well, I always say the last 15, but those years keep adding. And I started with Jackson Family in 2013 when they first invested in Oregon. So I was one of the first employees, actually the first employee, and we've built quite a masterful team since then, and we are running these four wineries that you see here.
Nice. So let's talk about the Grand Moraine, and this is the Yamhill Carlton appellation in the Willamette Valley.
Yeah, that's the 2018 Chardonnay, and Chardonnay was really a delight for us at Grand Moraine because I came from a very European Burgundian winemaking background, and I insisted on making wines in that technique and with that approach, which is very different than New World Chardonnay, which is bottled quickly, is kind of buttery and has quite a bit of alcohol, etc. And this is a much leaner product, very, very food oriented. It's more about structure and balance than it is about being fruity. So it's what we call winter whites. So these are the white wines that have the strength to really last all season long. They're not designed for warm, sunny weather or that sort of thing.
I love the fact that it's certified sustainable and that the alcohol is only 13%, which is really quite European, as you were saying.
Yeah, that's part of Grand Moraine. You'll find all the alcohols are pretty low, and we picked those grapes absolutely on the instant moment of ripeness. And we're not looking for alcohol to prop up the wine in any way. We really want to have all that freshness and almost a little crunchiness to the wine.
Nice, and easy to pair with food when it's in that style, really.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about we have three Pinot Noirs following the Chardonnay. So this is the Willamette Estate.
Yeah, so this is the estate cuvee, and Willamette Estate is this unbelievably beautiful property in Yamhill Carlton, first purchased by a Burgundian and his wife, Ronnie and Bernie Lacroute. And it really looks like a little piece of the Côte d'Or with all these ridge tops and aspects and elevations. So the estate brings so many different components and qualities to a blend. And we do some single vineyard or single block terroir wines as well that we sell in our tasting room. But this is the statement of the estate. So it's really that estate through the lens of that vintage. So it's very vintage specific. One of the great charms of winemaking and wine drinking from Oregon is that each vintage is very, very different. And that's really what helps bring a lot of diversity to what we do. So this is really the snapshot of the vintage from that specific estate.
That is so cool that you can kind of isolate it down to just those two things. This is 2019, and the next two Pinot Noirs are 2018. Are we going to see a major difference there?
Great question. Major difference. We actually used the 18 and 19 in a seminar the other day to talk about how different the vintages can be, how much variation there can be in Oregon vintages. So 18 was called the Goldilocks vintage. We had brilliant weather the whole year. Everything was statistically perfect. Very few hot days, but lots of warm, breezy days. Beautiful weather in September, which is very key to what we do. So in the 70s, in the low 70s. And it was just this, as I say, Goldilocks vintage. And so they're very plush and lush wines. They're very forward wines. Moved to 19, and we had a much cooler vintages, more like the classic vintages as we call them now, since we've moved to warmer vintages. And we had quite a bit of rain in September as well, which we love because that slows everything down, keeps everything, all the vines very vibrant and healthy. And so it's a very fresh vintage. And yes, they're very, very different.
Nice. And I just wanted to mention also that your Willamette Estate Pinot Noir is also certified sustainable. So that's always to hear.
Yes, just to take a brief moment off of that, we have 630 acres of vineyards and 4 wineries, and all of them are live certified. Willamette was actually the first live certified winery in the Willamette Valley, but they're all live certified, and everything we do is with the typical Jackson Family Wines sustainability lens.
Wonderful. That's so good to hear. And that's so important going forward, as we all know. So the Penner Ash is the 2018. So talk to us about this a little.
So Lynn and Ron Penner-Ash started their winery 20 years ago, and Lynn is a winemaker by trade. She worked in Napa Valley, and then she came up and founded Rex Hill, and then had to go off on her own, which is terrific. And she quit her job there, and Ron quit his job as an educator and teacher, and they had 2 little kids, and they made 125 cases, and lo and behold, it worked. And 20 years later, we have this absolutely spectacular winery. And Lynn's style is really distinctive. We used lush and layered, and because there is this really velvety lushness in the mid palate. It's really for her, it's the body in the mid palate is extremely important. And then the fruit on the front end and the structure on the back end are built to support that mid palate. So these are absolutely beautiful wines. Lynn still consults with us, and Kate Ayers has been making the wine for the last 5 years. It's an all-woman team over there.
Well, then it's got to be good.
Got to be good.
Great. And then finally, the Zena Crown vineyard, the conifer.
Yeah, Zena Crown, when Jackson Family invested in the Willamette Valley, they bought 2 existing vineyards that had been established some years prior. One was Grand Moraine, the source of the Chardonnay where we started, and the other is Zena Crown, where we've landed here. And it's a 100-acre vineyard, so there's plenty of opportunity there. But this is a very, very, very small brand. We make about 1,000 cases over 5 different wines, so very small bottlings. And it's this spectacular vineyard in the Eola Amity Hills, which has a unique part of its growing pattern is that starting in about late June, as the world heats up, the wind is brought through a gap in the coastal range. So every afternoon around 4 o'clock, the wind comes in and the temperature can drop 20 to 40 degrees. It's unbelievable. So the diurnal is very, very much a part of the winemaking at Zena Crown. And these are big, profound wines. I hate to say this, but they are the Pinot Noir for the Cabernet lover. They're intense, they're robust, super elegant, but they are a full-on glass of wine.
But still with only 13.5% alcohol. So not using the warmer areas crutch of alcohol to make the impact. You're making the impact on with a much more, I guess, delicate approach.
Yes, alcohol and oak are traditional techniques for lifting up the mid palate of the wine. And that's not our style really in any of these wineries. We're really looking for very, very ripe fruit, but also farmed to enhance the intensity by keeping your yields down.
Nice. Well, Eugenia, thank you so much for joining us today. I really can't wait to get these reviews published of these wines on Planet Grape Wine Review. And we will see you very soon. I hope in person this time.
Yes, Catherine, I hope so too. Enjoy the rest of those wines. I know I will. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.